All right, guys, make a quick crypto video here on this bloody Friday. Not a good day for the crypto markets. Not a good past couple months for the crypto markets. Bitcoin under $100,000, $95,000 for Bitcoin. Altcoins even worse. Everything's pretty much in the shitter. You have stocks tanking. You have all the AI stocks tanking. We had like NVIDIA tanking the other day, although now I just pull up CNBC and now stocks are turning around and coming back positive for the day as the NASDAQ turns positive, tech stocks recover. Okay, that's a good news. That should help Bitcoin. There's just a lot of negativity out there. We've been talking about this for the past month. There's a lot of negativity in the sentiment. The sentiment is like at the lowest it's ever been for crypto. We're pretty much at bear market lows when it comes to sentiment. And I think we have to address the elephant in the room that we're a big believer in the 4-year cycles on this channel. And if we're a believer in those cycles, there's just not any time anymore for Bitcoin, altcoins to go into full-blown parabolic mode by the end of the year, by the time this cycle is supposed to end. If you look back at the 4-year cycles, Bitcoin, strangely enough, dumped exactly when it was supposed to. Around October is when Bitcoin started to pull back and made its high of $125,000, which is over double where it got last cycle. And we've pretty much been all downhill from there. And we've also had some altcoins making all-time highs. Ethereum made an all-time high, or basically an all-time high. XRP was up to $3. Solana was back up to its all-time high. A lot of these privacy coins are back up to their all-time high, and now everything's kind of in the gutter. As if you're following the 4-year cycles, you could look at everything that's happening right now, and you could say, hey, look, Bitcoin made its all-time high. Some of these altcoins made their all-time high, and we're just done with this cycle now, and we're going into a bear market. And unfortunately, a lot of the altcoins just didn't make their all-time high. They didn't do well. There just wasn't enough money circulating around the cookie jar to make a lot of these other altcoins pump. And I think that's certainly a possibility. That's certainly a possibility that we are done with this bull market, at least for now, and we're going to be bearish. And it looks like the stock market's probably going to be really rocky over the next year. I saw an article that came out yesterday talking about mortgage delinquencies are up 20%. That's not a good sign because a housing crash is right around the corner. And if all those things play out, and if the stock market's dumping and pulling back next year, that's certainly going to take Bitcoin down with it. Now, if you listen to guys like Tom Lee, they're talking about a Santa rally. And we had this happen last year with crypto and stocks, whereas we're kind of bearish for now. But as we go into the end of the month, as we go into December, stocks rocket. They rocket ship back up to all-time highs. If something like that happens, you're going to see Bitcoin going back up to over $100,000, and you're going to see your altcoins rally, and we could get like $1 Cardano, maybe XRP back up to $3. But I don't think we're going to get much more than that this cycle. I don't think we're, any blow off top where XRP is going to $5 or Cardano is going to $5. This is not happening in the next couple months. It's virtually impossible. So I think now we're at a stage where we have to acknowledge that this time last year, December, when a lot of these altcoins, a lot of these gaming coins ran, that was probably, the time to sell. Unfortunately, that was the time to sell a lot of these altcoins because 2025 has been kind of miserable. Now, we are still a believer in the 4-year cycle, and we still have till the end of December to see what happens. But if Bitcoin ends up closing like under $90,000 next week, like it's very hard to justify that we're not in a bear market and that we're not going to be in a bear market probably for the next few months minimally, possibly longer. So that's kind of where we're at, guys. Not the greatest news in the world in the crypto market. Like I said, sentiment's low. But I'm a big believer in these 4-year cycles, and unfortunately with these 4-year cycles, a lot of coins did run. Bitcoin did run. You can't be mad at Bitcoin going from $65,000 to $125,000. Like, that's not a bad run. Now, as far as your altcoins, a lot of them were lackluster, but XRP going from 25 cents to $3 or $3.50, that's not a bad run. Solana going from $8 to $250, like that's a bull market. That's a big run, and a lot of other coins did similar. Just a lot of coins didn't do anything as well, and we're kind of used to these alt seasons where everything pumps. So right now we're kind of still in no man's land. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have to acknowledge the fact that things are looking lackluster. Things are looking pretty bad, and I think best case scenario at this point, by end of year, we get one more run up, which I think is totally possible. Bitcoin goes back up to like 125, 130, maybe $140,000 if the stocks are pumping as well, and your altcoins pretty much go back up to where they were like 6 months ago, where XRP is at like 320 or something like that, Cardano's at like $1 or something like that, and I think that's going to be it for this cycle. Now that's if you're a believer in the 4-year cycles, which I am. The other possibility is we're just basically going to be going sideways. The 4-year cycles are completely out the window because a lot of these altcoins never got their all-time high. And we're just going to be boring until a new Fed chief comes in, the economy turns itself around, and all those good things happen towards, maybe going into the spring. My big fear is that going into the spring is probably when the housing market is really going to show its cracks, when all these people start listing their house in the spring, right? And they can't sell their house, and then that's going to be like the catalyst that sets us off for a housing market crash. Then you're going to have these car loan delinquencies. They're going to be coming to fruition, and the stock market's going to be pretty much in 100% crap zone as well. So my goal is to basically get out of these markets if I can, by the end of the year. Now, I'm not selling my Cardano at the price it is right now. It's not worth it to me. If I have to hold my Cardano for another couple years, I'll hold my Cardano for another couple years. If I have to hold my Theta, which I think I will, I think as far as like a coin like Theta, there's no chance of me getting out of Theta this cycle. Maybe this time next year, I'll be able to get out of Theta. Unless something like magical happens going into the summer, going into the spring. I mean, it's always possible. But for me, like my low cap coins like Theta, whatever people say it, I've kind of written them off for like the next year. I really have. Like, I don't expect it. Like, there's no rush for me to go out and sell Theta. I mean, Theta pumped up to almost $3.50 last year. It can easily do that again the next time we have an alt season. I'll sell it then. And for me, I made 6 figures if I do that. So I have no problems doing that. The only coins that really we have a shot right now at selling by the end of the year are our big cap quality coins, XRP, Cardano, your Solanas, your Ethereums. They're still in the picture, and I think they have another run in them if Bitcoin can get back up to $120,000 by following the stock market's coattails. But like I said, there's no guarantee that's going to happen. I really hope it does. I think it's like a 50-50 shot. Like I said, you listen to guys like Tom Lee. He's calling for one more blow off top, a nice runoff by the end of the year. I think it's in the cards. I think it can happen, especially if you look at the stock market today, where I was kind of thinking the stock market was kind of done. And you have the stock market recovering today. Started off slow the last couple of days. Now the stock market is recovering. So it does look like there's still a lot of enthusiasm in the stock market, and we need that, because if the stock market goes into full-blown recession mode, full-blown bear territory for the stock market, it's 100% going to make it so Bitcoin will just dump. Or at minimal, Bitcoin will not do anything until the stock market rebounds. So here's what we have to do, guys. We have to hope that the stock market, the housing market, the job market just fucking holds on for another couple months. Another couple months of bullishness in the stock market. I think we can get that one last run up in Bitcoin, which is not out of the question, and we can get back up to 120, and some of these altcoins can get back up there. Ethereum can get back up to 4,500. Cardano can get back up to around $1. Cardano can get back up to around $1. Remember, Cardano was at 95 cents just a couple months ago. That's when I sold my trading bag. XRP can get back over $3, and I think that's going to be our ticket to get the hell out of this market. Because my fear is, if we don't get out of this market by the end of the year, we're going to have to hold through a stock market bear market and through a housing crash, which is probably going to last 1 year or about a year. And it's going to be brutal. It's going to be horrible. Now, if I have to hold it, like I said, I don't mind holding my Theta, my lower cap gaming coins. That does not bother me holding through that. If I have to, I'll hold my Cardano through that as well, my Litecoin and all that. But I think right now we should kind of be in, survival mode, and we should be looking to when we get an opportunity, if we get an opportunity to get out of some of these higher cap coins like XRP, Litecoin, Cardano, we should get out of these coins. And hopefully it happens by the end of the year as Bitcoin pumps. I'm trying to keep it real on this channel. For me, like I said, this time last year, I was really big into MicroStrategy. I sold all my MicroStrategy. I did really well on MicroStrategy. I did well on my trading bags. But like I told you guys, my long-term bags in crypto just suck. I've been holding them for years, and it looks like we may have topped out in this bull market. And it looks like if you follow the 4-year cycles, Bitcoin made an all-time high, double from last time. A lot of these altcoins had a run, and now right on cue, right in October, when technically things were supposed to be pulling back, October, November, right when things were supposed to be pulling back, now we're getting that pullback, which would basically coincide with a 4-year cycle. So technically the 4-year cycles are still in play. Everything's basically been following the cycles. The only thing is, our altcoins that we were hoping that would pump, half of them didn't pump. My XRP pumped. The little bit of Ethereum I had pumped. My Bitcoin pumped. My MicroStrategy pumped. But my Cardano didn't pump all that much. My Litecoin didn't pump all that much. My gaming coins didn't pump all that much. My Theta didn't get to where I wanted to go. So it was kind of like a very lackluster bull market. And we have to figure out if we have to figure out if we have an opportunity to get out of some of these bigger cap altcoins versus holding them for another year, we should probably take it, because I think the risk going into next year, because I'm not changing anything I've said over the last couple of years. I've been saying for years, housing crash is happening in 2026. I've been saying stock market crash is happening in 2026. The economy sucks. The job market sucks. You have AI coming, taking jobs. Everything is really expensive. Rent's expensive. Housing's expensive. People are getting $100,000 loans for like Honda Civics. It's just weirdness. It's weird stuff that's happening out there right now. And I think the stock market needs a flush out, and the housing market needs a flush out. And unfortunately, when that happens, it's going to take Bitcoin down lower. So like I said, I'm going to recap it. We need to be hoping right now that the stock market has a Santa rally and does really well in December or November, end of November, where we are right now, November, December. We need to hope that the stock market can do really, really well and get a blow off top going into the end of the year. If that happens, I fully expect Bitcoin to get back up to like $120,000 and your altcoins to have some really, really nice runs over the next month and a half. But the thought of are we going to have a gaming run by the end of the year? No, not happening. Are we going to have like an AI run? No. Are these lower cap altcoins going to pump by the end of the year? No, it's not happening. So our only shot right now, higher cap altcoins, Cardanos or XRPs. I mean, I could sell my XRP right now. I bought it at 20 cents, but I'm not going to, because look, I'm going to be a gambler. I think long term for XRP going into the next cycle is going to be a $5 XRP. I think if you hold your Cardano right now for another couple years, you're going to get a $5, $10 Cardano. I'm in good quality projects. The question is, do we want to be in that pain and suffering over the next year if we can't get out of if we can't get out of some of these higher cap altcoins by the end of the year? And the way I see it is, if we sell our Cardano at 95 cents, say we get another run up for Cardano at 95 cents. Let's just pick on Cardano for now. You sell it, and then say Cardano, and say we fuck up, we sell our Cardano right now at 95 cents or like in a month, and then in April we get a run up to $3 Cardano, and then Theta goes up to $10. Well, that's fine, because we still have our Theta. We're not going to sell any of our lower cap coins because they're not even worth touching right now. We're just looking at selling our higher cap coins just to kind of de-risk from these markets. And that's kind of where I'm at, guys. It does suck. It is what it is. I think we're still going to do extremely well in these markets. We might have to wait a little bit longer, but I think right now it's all about the stock market. It's all about the traditional markets. We need the stock market to hold going into December. We need a blow off top. We need guys like Tom Lee to be pumping it. And like I said, there's still a lot of strength in the stock market. There's still a lot of buyers, and we still have Bitcoin at about $95,000. So, it's just one of those weird days. I know I saw that XRP had an ETF launch, and it generated $58 million in a day. So you can't argue. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of interest in coins like XRP, and I think XRP is going to do extremely well. There is good news out there. So the weird thing is the fundamentals are good. The fundamentals are good with crypto right now, but even with good news, we're not getting a lot of good price action. And unfortunately, that usually is the sign of a bear market. In a bear market, good news does not pump the price, but bad news dumps the price even further. So we just have to hope that there's one more little spike up towards the end of the year. And another thing we've been talking about on this channel is all these funds in crypto right now. They're going to be selling all their crypto at the first sign of trouble. You're seeing that right now with the ETFs. Bitcoin ETF bleeds 866 million in the second worst record day, and that will only get worse. So if we end up holding into next year, and we continue to be bearish, and the stock market crashes, and the housing market crashes, like these ETFs are going to be bone dry. Like every single penny in these ETFs is going to be sold, and that's probably going to take Bitcoin down to like $30,000. And it'll probably take Cardano down to like 20 cents. It'll probably take XRP back down to like 50 cents. So that's what I'm trying to say, guys. Like, we just need to make sure that we're making the right moves going into the end of the year. We still have a month and a half. Guys, things change on a dime. This time a week ago, there was a lot more hope in the market. Now it's all doom and gloom. This time next week, we could be going right back up. And if we are, we need to seriously be talking about getting out of a lot of these higher cap altcoins. I'm going to keep saying it. Getting out of these higher cap altcoins the next chance we get. Because if we don't, we could be forced to hold these things for another year and a half, 2 years, in maybe one of the worst bear markets of crypto history. So let me see if I'm missing anything else. We talked about that. Oh, there was also a rumor that Michael Saylor was selling all of his Bitcoin. That turned out to be fake, but I do fully expect him to be forced to sell his Bitcoin at some point, and that'll be a very, very bad day for anybody holding crypto. Yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. It's going to be a weird weekend because stock market isn't going to be traded on the weekend, so I think it's going to be extremely volatile this weekend for crypto. Let's look at the Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, and we have Bitcoin dominance at 58%. Why is Bitcoin dominance not at like over 65% right now? So none of this makes any sense. I'm completely confused. I guess some coins are holding on better than others. But look, guys, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to recap one last time. We just need the stock market and the traditional markets to hold for going into December. We need to have a rate cut. Now there's also talk that we might not have a rate cut. That's not going to help these markets at all. We got to have a rate cut. We got to have very strong stock market going into December, going into the end of the year, and that will give us our chance to get out of a lot of these higher cap altcoins in serious profit if that happens. As far as our lower cap altcoins, like our Thetas, our gaming coins, our AI coins, forget about those fuckers. Forget about them. We'll look back at them in the spring. We'll look back at them in the summer. But they're not going to pump until we go into alt season. They're not going to pump unless we're in a parabolic alt season, and that's just not happening anytime soon. All right, guys, that's it. There's still hope out there. There's still a chance to make money, but we need the stock market to hold, and that's basically it. That's the truth. So let's see what happens. Like and subscribe. Talk to you later.